Hello, this is Nathaniel from Archetype Intuitive, and today I just wanted to have some fun talking about the various planetary characters that we deal with in astrology. So the first character I'd like to introduce is the Sun. So the Sun is probably one of the astrological planets that most people are familiar with because when somebody says, hey, what's your sign? They're essentially asking what sign the Sun was in when you were born. So what are some characteristics of the Sun? The Sun shines. The Sun is the largest body in our solar system. So it's got a big presence. It radiates. It puts itself forward. And so the Sun represents how somebody shines. So what sign your Sun was in, that's the energy or the outfit that your identity tends to project and radiate. The Sun has a masculine flair to it. It's very active, it's very yang, it's burning. And so the Sun is that kind of identity marker in one sense. But of course, we are so much more than just our Sun. So while your Sun sign is important, you want to keep other factors in mind as well. The Sun is most closely balanced with the Moon. So the Moon is kind of the passive yin feminine counterpoint for the Sun, and it's also one of our most personalized features in a chart. The Sun changes a degree every day, and so a different sign every 30 days. Well, the Moon takes 28 days to go completely around. So the Moon is a much quicker body, and the faster planets or bodies tend to have the most personalizing or individualizing effect on somebody. So in contrast to the Sun and how it shines on the outside and it's seen in the light of day, the Moon represents who we are on the inside, sort of a hidden private self. We think about the connotation of seeing the moon out at nighttime. And so it's kind of in the darkness, it's a hidden aspect. We can also contrast the moon is how we want to project ourselves. The moon is what we need in order to feel secure and comfortable and nurtured on the inside. The moon has a very holding, containing type of feel to it. And it's also fluctuating. The moon changes, waxing and waning. And so that's representative of our emotional nature and those fluctuations and rhythms. Moon will come back around as I look at some other angles too. So Sun and Moon are the two first characters. Next fastest in the solar system is Mercury, and Mercury gets around really quick. He is the messenger of the planets, if you think about it. And we'll start to see there's some connections between the mythology and some Greek gods and goddesses as well as the planets. So Mercury would be Hermes, which is a Greek god of messages, communication, travel, and all of those things are closely connected with Mercury. He's actually the fastest planet. He travels around the sun the quickest. So often Mercury is in the exact same sign as a person's sun. Not always, but it's highly likely. So Mercury is representative of how we think, how we communicate, how we do that messaging faculty in our life. How do you convey yourself? How do you express what you think? So Mercury is someone's thinking capacity. It's your ideas. It's your learning as far as how everything works. It's navigating the immediate environment around you. It's that sort of short distance travel from point A to point B or from one idea to another that connects those dots. It connects the networks, the messages get sent. It's synapses, it's nerves, things like that in a sense. So Mercury is our thinking and communication apparatus. Next fastest in the solar system is the lovely Venus, which translates into Aphrodite as far as the Greek gods and goddesses go. And just as Aphrodite was the goddess of love and beauty, so is Venus. But a distinction that should be seen is that this idea of love and beauty is an attractive, magnetic quality. As far as Venus goes, there's a sense of things being pulled in or drawing to us that which is a complement for us, or that we find value. We are drawing it in. So this concept of value translates for Venus as being representative of money concerns and relation concerns. That which we find valuable, we use money, we accumulate resource, those possessions, we draw those things to us, and the traits that we find important in other people, we also draw into us, we attract, we magnetically pull them in. Venus has got this notion of harmony and balance, and that she's pulling in that which will create more and more ease, more and more harmony. So there's this magnetic and balancing type of energy that Venus is representative to. And just like the moon was a passive or yin-oriented planet, Venus also carries that connotation. The symbol for Venus is the symbol for female also. And we'll see that Venus does play on that field quite easily as she makes a contrast with her buddy Mars. So Mars is then the next quickest planet. I've skipped the Earth, as you can notice, but we'll come back to him later. But as far as Mars goes, Mars is, in contrast to that Venus feminine pulling in energy, this is a yang shooting forth energy, projecting. It's all the masculine symbols of a gun, of a cannon, of a laser beam. The symbol is that masculine symbol, the circle with the arrow off of it. So this idea of a trajectory. Mars is representative of our passion, of our drive, of our desire to take action, to go forth. It kind of gets connotated with war and conflict in the sense that it doesn't acquiesce or concede to the other side the same way that Venus will. Venus might say, well, I'll let you have, what you want sometimes to keep it balanced. Mars is more of, I'm going to keep going in this direction. I'm going to blast through every obstacle in my way. So it is that forward thrust that shoots us forward with desire. And so that's Mars as a character. So with our journey through Mars, we've actually concluded what are considered the personal planets, and they move the quickest, and so they tend to be in different signs and orientations, a lot more and more variety in the person's chart, and so they indicate the differences and nuances and the personality differences between one another. As we go forward now, the planets are moving at a lot slower pace. Everything through Mars takes about like a year and a half to go around the circle of the wheel. Everything after that considerably slows down, as we'll see. The next planet, and these next two buddies, Jupiter and Saturn, they pair together too in the sense that these are considered social planets. They represent tides in a larger context. Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the circle, so he spends 1 year in each sign wearing that outfit. And Saturn takes 28 to 29 years to go all the way around. So there are some slower guys. I think about them as like the tides in society of things growing and expanding, and then things solidifying and contracting. There's like an out breath and an in breath. So starting with Jupiter, Jupiter is representative of that growth tide. He's representative of expansion. That's expansion as far as opportunity, perspective, seeing other cultures, other ways of looking at the same issue, spirituality, belief systems, and looking at the way that they integrate and synthesize. What are the commonalities between different cultures, as well as how can another perspective expand my own? So there's this growth, learning in a larger context, philosophically, existentially, and the idea of wealth and abundance and luck, grace, ease. All of those are factors that Jupiter is also embodiment. There's an abundance of opportunity. There's a wealth of experience. So there's this enlarging quality. And it tends to be beneficent in the sense that it expands the reach. So if you've ever heard God protects fools and children, well, when something's new or you're just being exposed, there's a little more wiggle room or grace to afford that experience of learning. And Jupiter kind of rules that with lucky breaks and easy situations that allow that learning to take place in that area. After Jupiter, we get to Saturn. And Saturn, despite his smile here, is a very serious planet. In the way that Jupiter expanded the reach of everything, Jupiter then contracts and hardens and crystallizes things into concrete reality. He makes you face the facts. So he has a connotation with limitation, restriction, discipline, hard work, the taskmaster, the tester. So all of these things that test the integrity or the solidarity and the reality of something, and structures that endure the test of time are important to Saturn. What really stands in the face of what's real. So Jupiter is, pushing the boundary, expanding the limits, and seeing what more can be encompassed. And then Saturn is contracting everything and saying, well, what is and what's real and what can be managed and manifest and materialize now? What matters is the Saturn. So Jupiter's kind of the planet that says yes to everything. Saturn's kind of the planet that says no, or wait, we need to work on this and solidify it. And Jupiter's, yes, let's just reach. And so they kind of make a pair of like a pulsing out and a bringing in. So they represent our two social planets. At this point, it is worth noting that classically in the early days in astrology, the planet stopped with Saturn. So Saturn was the outermost planet. So the journey was kind of something along the lines of here you are and you're shining and this is who you are and you have this inner needs and the way that you feel on the inside with your moon, and you have a way that you think about the world and that you express yourself, as well as things that you value and what you attract into your experience and how you create harmony and ease. And then you have your desires and how you burst forth and take action in the world and what really sets you on fire. And all of those things then cause you to reach for greater bounds and to grow and expand with all of those personalized characteristics so that you can then solidify and create a testament of who you are and a concrete reality that demonstrates mastery over the world. And that was kind of it. Saturn was also kind of like the end of the line in the sense, limitation, death, decay, all of those things also were under Saturn's jurisdiction. Well, we have moved a little bit further and we now are aware of some other planets. So after Saturn, we've got the friendly planet Uranus. And Uranus is one of our last three or transpersonal planets. These were not found until I want to say like the 70s. I'm really bad with my timelines, but it's a recent planet in that sense and hadn't been discovered that long. And its effects then are going to reach beyond society. These transpersonal planets move very slowly. I think it takes Uranus like 84 years, 80 something years to get around the zodiac, and Neptune like double that, and Pluto like double that. So these move really slow, and they talk about the patterns and themes in a large context of society and plugging into larger and you could even say more spiritualized senses of holistic integrity. But so the first thing Uranus is known for is spontaneity. It is like the lightning strike that comes out of nowhere. It's innovation. It is brilliant ideas. It's genius. It's radical. It's revolutionary. It also has a tinge for individuality and equality. Everybody can be as weird as they want to be and as free as they want to be. It's an equalizer in that sense of free, liberated equality. You'll notice as it contrasts with Saturn, who is our last buddy, everything's really hard and finalized and crystallized and concrete and enduring here. When you get to Uranus, it's like bam, it shatters that entire structure and creates something new. Uranus is associated with novelty. That's something you can't plan for, you can't predict. It's so one of a kind, unique. All of these qualities of radicalness um, are embodied in Uranus and its activity. It's this just liberating new idea, science, technology, strangeness, aliens, astrology, everything like that is under Uranus's jurisdiction. After Uranus, we found out about Neptune. And Neptune is one of the least physical planets in the sense of what it symbolizes. It represents dreams, the imagination, psychic phenomena. It's the ocean, it's the waters, it's the unconscious, it's this sense of oneness, it's mysticism, it's that personal, quiet, meditative connection that we have with the divine. And so I like to pair it with Saturn again to think, Saturn is the most concrete, real, reality, matter type of thing. Neptune is the most dreamy, imaginative, subtle, castles in the sky type of energy. So again, we're seeing these contrasts between where the line stopped with Saturn and then what these new energies bring into the larger picture. So Neptune is all of these selflessness, devotional qualities that look out for those that are part of life in this way that is without any self-interest. It's love, it's music, it's dreams, it's sound, all of these things, Neptune. Then after Neptune, whether it's still a planet or not, it doesn't really matter. It's in the sky and it has an effect. It's Pluto. Yeah, make sure I have the right one. Pluto is the furthest out in this lineup. If you get deeper in astrology, you can find all sorts of weird stuff. But so Pluto is the last of these transpersonal planets. And despite his happy face too, it's not so much that he's serious like Saturn, but Pluto is very intense. Pluto is like a volcano. Pluto has this underground association. It translates with Hades from Greek mythology. Hidden wealth but buried. It's the hidden assets. It's got a flair that's associated with Scorpio. But so Pluto is kind of this powerful urge of desire within that's very, very old and uncontrollable in a sense. It's like this churn of evolutionary necessity is a good correlation string of words. Pluto's energy is one that digs down and makes things more intense towards an upheaval or an eruption and a transformation. Pluto is death. Saturn has the connotation of death as the end point in a way. Pluto also has that quality, but it is in the sense of rebirth also, being like the phoenix taken down into flames and then coming back out of them. Pluto deals with deep psychological issues, anything related to darkness and depth, the underworld, all of those types of transformational, deep qualities of also like karmic necessity, that kind of urge to do something that is almost compulsory in the same sense, to churn out some hidden desire and lead towards a greater evolution. It's very very deep planet, some pun intended. So thinking back now to those, I played with a few polarities. I wanted to match up and show you something between some of the personal planets and the transpersonal planets. The three, so you got the Sun, and then you got Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Those three personal planets are, our mind and thinking, what we love and value, and what we desire and how we take action. So those three apparatuses are often equated with being a lower octave of the higher transpersonalized planets of Uranus being transpersonal or universal collective mind, Neptune being transpersonal collective love, and Pluto being transpersonal collective desire. So they have a correlation between them. So starting with Mercury, if Mercury is the way that we think and our personality and how we express ourselves and travel from point A to point B and our general thinking and mind and all of those things, Uranus then is the higher mind. It's the collective mind. Um, Mercury zips from place to place really quickly and moving and connecting the dots and communicating information and learning. Uranus is like a lightning bolt. It's like those ideas and insights that come out of nowhere, eureka, aha, that kind of thing. It is the intuition. It's electric. All of these instant teleportation type of qualities to thinking. It's that genius, radical, brilliance, electric, spontaneous, out of nowhere kind of idea to thinking. Mercury is more connecting. I see both sides, and then I explore that side. So it's the personal mind and the universal mind. With Venus, we have the sense of personal values, what I love, the lovely things that I draw in, the people that I love, that I find attractive, the items, the jewelry, the clothing, the things I spend my money on, the things I value, I love, is Venus, my personal desires, my taste in things. Neptune then is transpersonal love. It's that side of love that is universal, it's selfless. While Venus is drawing things in that she likes, Neptune is like dissolving the boundaries between everything. It's this I love everything. Everything is me. I am everything. It's this oneness, this universality that is a selfless love. It's like the love of God in the sense of just this love for all. It doesn't see any differences. Everything is ideally unified. So we have this transpersonal sense of love, and we have the personal sense of love. The last comparison in this trio is with Mars, which is our active desire. It's what we push forward towards. It's going out and getting that which we are passionate about. It's our energizing, our sense of ego in the sense of very personal me, what I want, what I'm after, drive. In contrast now with Pluto, which is a universal drive. It is, like I said earlier, the universal churn of evolutionary necessity. There is a sense of the desire for the universe to evolve, to grow, and therefore digging down into those dark depths, the unexplored or suppressed or locked off places that get buried and then prevent further progress by coming so stagnant and dormant. It burrows down, compressing and pressurizing those things until the energy is released and erupted in a way that allows for greater growth and forward movement. Pluto it's obsessively churning forward and pushing forward past and just destroying any obstacle in its way. It's burned up the same way that Mars burst forward in a sense of moving forward without kind of stopping for any obstacle. A difference would be that Mars is much more of an overt type of outer active nature. Pluto is more of an inner covert type of active nature. It's a psychological drive versus a vital physical material drive. It's this it's an inner sense of desire, a hidden, a deeply subconscious or unconscious sense of desire versus a really base and carnal and in the moment and physical and actualizing type of desire. So it's our personal desire, transpersonal desire, ego, and then a force that obliterates and transforms ego. So that's the dichotomy between those characters. Um, so in this whole scheme of planets, I have left out until now our buddy Earth. And Earth is the planet on which we live. And when we do astrological work and reading charts, we are reading the sky from a position on Earth. So it appears that all of these things are moving around us. That's why the sun is moving around along with the planets, and that's not the real case, we know. But Earth, we're Earth-centric, and so that's kind of our position in that aspect. Of course, everything is really moving around the sun. The sun is the true heart of the solar system. But we are Earthlings on Earth, and so from our position, these factors circulating around us have this effect in some sort of way. It's interesting to go ahead and note, though, that Earth is used in esoteric astrology, and the planet Earth is always exactly 180 degrees away from your sun. So whatever your sun sign is, your opposite is always your Earth sign. And Earth is representative of our Dharma, or the physical manifestation of our path. It's the matter through which our shining essence takes action. So we come into the world to shine and express our identity, and be seen as the sun while working in the field of whatever sign is opposite that, to manifest and to materialize the matter of our work, in a sense. So it's the stage upon which we are working, in a sense. Is how Earth is seen, is a planet in that way. Some other interesting things just to observe are that on Earth is matter, and we are in material bodies. The physical is, and the dense manifestation level of things is very much a part of what Earth and Gaia is. It's this manifestation. It's this place where all the concretization and density is pretty physical, concrete, tangible, touching. To one side of Earth we have Venus. To the other side of Earth we have Mars. And we've already talked a little bit about the feminine passive pulling in of Venus and the active masculine go out and get it of Mars. And it's interesting then to see that those two influences as our two neighbors, this masculine and feminine, definitely seem to be a part of the collective polar duality experience here on Earth. It's almost as if we have a dance going on between the masculine and the feminine energies interacting here. This duality overlap creating this like physical component. So that's one way to think about that. Another thing to consider is the moon is really a satellite orbiting Earth. And so in a chart, the moon's moving around just like all the other planets, but the moon is actually around the Earth. Well, both of these planets have a very physical connotation. In our chart, the moon, whereas it is the inner qualities, inner needs, the emotional rhythms, the hidden self, in contrast with that outer solar shining sun, this is more of the element of our long withstanding personality, something from the past that has been rhythmically molded into a sense of permanence or character or clay of a personality. Sun, yes, identity, personality, but it also at an esoteric level represents the soul and how the soul is shining. The moon is actually connotated as being a dead planet, and it is the personality that has formed from all of this past karma all molded together. So there's this personality, matter, formed kind of quality. Again, I said that there was a container element about the moon as well. It's a personality container in a sense. And then thinking about it moving around the Earth, it's constantly like a potter on a clay wheel, molding the materiality through these rhythms, through this cyclic rhythm, and these needs. This planet's influence can be seen as molding the matter, maybe even from an astral form level. It's like this astral molding agent before manifestation and that concretization into matter is outpictured in earthy substance. Also, take Moon for a second and pair her up with Saturn. Moon takes 28 days to make a circle. Saturn takes about 28 to 29 years. There's a connection between these two planets also esoterically. They both also, again, have to do with form. I think of Moon is very soft. All soft here, but Moon is soft. And Saturn represents hard, solid, crystal, concrete, all rigid, all those kind of things. But they're both matter. So this is like the outer structuring. This is like the reality, structure, law component that is making sure everything is in accordance and accountability and integrity with what is reality. And then this moon is kind of like a softer agent. So it's almost like the foundation, the bones, the steel beams, and then the insulation and the skin and the muscle and the softness that molds the more personalized, subjective components. Whereas Saturn is definitely more of the objective components. We have an objective and a subjective polarity here. But they both are about concrete manifestation, the laws holding into the reality, the structure, and then the idea of containing it in something like a bubble, like an eggshell, nurturing it and rhythmically letting it be pregnated, so that we then have the physical matter output with the earth. So that to the journey. I will, just for fun's sake, I will mention, since I've talked about esoteric astrology, we have the planet Vulcan. And Vulcan is a little different because it's a hypothetical planet, so it's invisible, or we can't see it. It's energetic. And it is said to hang out very close to the sun. It's got a higher chance of being in the same sign as the sun than Mercury, and Mercury is there quite often, but Vulcan is much closer to the sun. And it's a planet that represents, much like the Greek god Vulcan, who's Hephaestus. He would mold the weapons and the tools of the gods. Vulcan molds and forges matter into forms that express the divinity within, the beauty within. Vulcan was married to Venus in mythology, so this idea of love and beauty, and then being expressed from within through externalized objects. And so Vulcan can be associated with the breakdown of matter, much that Pluto is also a breaking down transformative element, but it is more about molding things into forms of divinity rather than breaking down things that aren't in alignment with a deep evolutionary desire and transforming that energy and releasing that energy. Vulcan is more, I see, like molding that energy into divine usefulness. Those physical things are then shaped and forged into spiritual tools as part of the activity of Vulcan. So all of these planets are the characters of a lot of astrology, and there's so much more that can be said about all of them. I just kind of wanted to start something up and have some fun introducing some of their qualities and what they mean. One more thing comes to mind. Thinking about the sun, how it is the center of the solar system, and then all of these planets are rotating around it. I really like the metaphor of the sun. The sun is the heart. I mean, like Leo rules heart, sun is the heart of the solar system. It's this fire giving vital energy. It's putting forth light and life. That heart, with everything rotating around it, it's like the organs of the body. And so you have the sun as this organ of the solar system that is this solar, unique identity, vital life, spirit quality. And then the closest one, Mercury, is it's called the son of mind in esoteric literature, but it's like I see it almost like a ray of the sun that then goes and explores, and it's this mental energy of zipping around and discovering everything within. It's the messenger, it's the exchange of information, it's the thinking apparatus, the thought, the symbol, the writing, the communication, the travel agent of the body of the solar system. Venus then is the pleasure aspect of the solar system. It's drawing in that which feels good, that which is valuable, that which is loving and harmonious and ease. It's this sense of love and value and connection and beauty in the solar system. So it's this pulling factor. Mars then is the thrusters in the solar system. It's the go get 'em. It's the direction. It's the arrow. It's the which way the helm is facing. It's the direction of the next encounter, the next journey, the next location. So this forward thrust towards passionate desire fulfilled of the solar system. And then Jupiter again is the body of the solar system that is expanding and growing and increasing and learning in this holistic sense of making interconnectedness and synthesizing information. So it's the growth as all of this is happening on this, it's shining and it's learning with information and it's valuing and drawing that in and it's thrusting forth. Then it's also enlarging and it's growing and holistically including more and more. And then Saturn is the organ of the solar system that is contracting. It's putting the structure in place. It's after we've expanded to where this limit seems, it locks that into place and then it masters it and it solidifies this sense of structure and finality to the solar system. And then the next three are like transpersonal organs. Then you have this quality that is electrically beaming in information from somewhere higher, somewhere further, somewhere more plugged in than just our isolated solar system. Uranus is this apparatus that's electronically transmitting, zapping in new ideas and information and insights intuitively that break through old barriers and create new energy releases where things have gotten stagnant. So we have that kind of zap and upgrade spontaneously happening to the system. And then Neptune is the organ that is equalizing everything in this sense of gentle, dissolving boundaries, keeping this tone of universal love operating while it's all happening. It's keeping everything idealizing, seeing this world in a selfless capacity. So that sense of equalizing and dissolving boundaries and having a sense of love and seeing through differences is slowly permeating from this far out perspective. While then last, this one little organ in the solar system, Pluto, is making sure that we don't just try to bury things. Anything that we don't tend to for a while, it may seem like it's gone, but then it will start to pressurize and come back up for release. It's this evolutionary drive programmed into the body that we might say we're going in this direction or we're building this structure, but it's making sure that everything that maybe we didn't tend to, it's all going to come back through. It's all going to come back up and it's going to churn forward towards some sort of transformation that then uplifts and brings things to a whole new level of which this whole cycle continues again. So all of those being seen as the body parts of the system, and we're just living on the earth where things are physically manifest in a dense way, being impressed upon by the swirl of activity going on around us. Um, and each of us manifest that in our own life. And you can look at an astrological birth chart to see according to what planets are where, talking to each other how, and what sign they're in. It's kind of like the outfit they're wearing, the flavor they're dipped in. By looking at all of those factors, you start to get an idea about how each individual plays a role that is influenced and characterized by all of these characters dancing across the stage, wearing whatever outfits they're wearing, and how that outpictures in our own life. So I hope that this was interesting and informative. It was a lot of fun for me to just kind of roll through it all with my fun little props. And I hope that you enjoyed it. So if there are any questions, you can feel free to contact me. I also do a variety of readings. I do birth chart readings. I do relationship readings. All sorts of things related to astrology. And if there are any other topics that you'd like me to talk about, I am feeling inspired to broaden my discussions. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you again.